So today we're going to be talking a little bit about the Kristy Wallace contract and why it is so important that they were able to get off that contract and what it means for the Indiana Fever. And the Indiana Fever are a real good team this year. A real good team. Obviously, Kristy Wallace being gone gives them a current 11-player roster that they can afford with $50K left over. And if you might be saying, like $50K, like what does that mean? Like what relevance is that? There's a lot with that $50K. That $50K, in my opinion, could be really, really important. And a lot of people are undervaluing that extra cap room because with Kristy Wallace on the roster, they had $30K cap room with 11 players. Without Kristy Wallace on the roster, if they go and they bring in, say, a Jaylen Brown, or they use one of their draft picks, which they're almost certainly going to do, people don't realize what that allows them to do is it gives them about 45, 50K to play around with the second half of the season. For that money, there are players. And there is there's one big thing that's happening right now during the summer, mid-season, and it's Eurobasket. So, for FIBA Eurobasket, the draw is basically, the teams have been decided. A lot of nations are getting through. The qualifiers have happened. So, like, obviously in the group phases, France just dominated. Like, absolutely dominated. France beat us by 101 points. Like, a crazy one. At least Ireland bounced back and had a good game against... They bounced back and had a pretty decent game against, Latvia? Like, Latvia are good. Latvia have your one who just signed for the Mercury. So Latvia have Laxa, who, funnily enough, she wasn't even the best player on her team in this game. And in my opinion, the best player in this whole game was Claire Melia from Ireland. And then obviously, I'm not sure if she's getting paid. Potential amateur Sarah Hickey with 19 was a serious one in that game. But with Eurobasket coming, it's big because there are players that are going to be available. Like, Temi's going to be there. Temi's not signed. So I don't know what happens with her rights, but like Temi, as of right now, is she didn't play with the Great Britain. Oh, she didn't. She obviously must have been injured, or she was injured. Jesus. So Temi's not there. Just hypothetically, again, I'm just looking at points per game. Just a complete hypothetical. Let's just say this Hannah Jump person starts balling out in Eurobasket, or who else? I know Belgium qualified. If the top quality Belgian players did well, or whoever again have qualified, anyone that does really well at Eurobasket, the Fever have enough money to keep them, to bring them in. So let's just say again, the Spanish team are hooping. Spain, who are a really solid team, they're hooping, and somebody like Cazorla, like, she comes in. I don't know if a team has her rights, but if a team doesn't have her rights, she can come in and like help out the team. Again, not entirely sure what her rights situation is. Like, there are players playing for these European countries that could help the Fever. And obviously MMA Simone's an obvious one. She's an obvious one to bring in that will make the Fever title favorites. Temi, you just never know. Someone else in the Belgium team could be doing well, and it just could be someone that we don't know. If we saw with like Kalu getting taken from her performance in the Olympics, her getting taken by the Atlanta Dream last year as a free agent. So there's always that second half of the season money that is now there because of just literally swapping Kristy Wallace for a second round pick, just their contracts. You've now got with that, they're in a good spot. They have that money. Like, they genuinely they have the money to do something. And there are a lot of players that are going to be available. And it allows them to actually bring in a 12th player second half of the season. And there's going to be players that shine at Eurobasket, just like there was players that shone at the Olympics. That especially if coming into the season, I don't know, just something's not working out for the Fever. And they're going to be able to go and make those type of moves. As well as that, if something's not working out, they're going to be able to make a short-term trade. They're going to be able to make trades, and they've got flexibility for contracts to take on a little bit extra on a contract if something's not working out. Let's just say Sidney Colson's not working out as a backup point guard. Like, it's just not working out. They need a better backup point guard, and Kelsey Mitchell can't really run the show. Okay, cool. Trade for someone that's making around $100K a year. Or obviously, I think that would be my thought would be somebody like a Lucy Olsen or a Van Lith as the player that they use in the draft, because I do think the only way you're going to be getting like good size, and the size that you need, is by taking Sedona Prince, and I don't think the Fever takes Sedona Prince in the draft. That could be there at 19. But yeah, it's just a mad situation the Fever in, because a lot of people are really kind of underrating how important that little bit of salary is, because for 30K, you're not getting anyone decent second half of the season, even from Europe. But for 60K, that puts you in a position where you can basically, outside of maybe MMA Simon, so not even for 60K, sorry, for 45K, outside of MMA Simon, you are now in a situation where you can basically get whoever you want from overseas. She might be the only player, she'll have to take a pay cut. She might be the only player you can't afford. Outside of her, pretty much anyone is within limits. So, yeah, it's genuinely, the Fever are in a really good position for next year. And I think what they've done with their roster, like, obviously, you don't want Kristy Wallace to have left under the circumstances that she left. Like, that's just a fact. Like, obviously, whatever about Kristy Wallace leaving, you don't want anyone to be leaving a team in those circumstances, and hopefully Kristy Wallace is okay. But it is big. It is really, really big with what has happened. Like, it just allows some flexibility, and it means that while, yes, the Indiana Fever are going to be, like, they're probably done, other than the draft, they're probably done for this offseason, but they can still bring in that 12th player for the second half of the season. And who that player will be, I have no idea. I'm going to be watching pretty much every game of that Eurobasket, or at least following it, a little bit like I did with the Olympics. Like, I'm not going to waste every bit of my time during the summer watching every game, but I'm going to be following it, seeing what's going on. And the fact it's on during the W season means that it's going to be really seeing what the Fever need versus the players that are excelling in those positions during the year. But anyway, that's the video. I'll see you guys.